Hi, it's Meharpreet having student ID HES0659. Today I'm here to give a short presentation on STEM education in which S stands for science, T for technology, E for engineering, and M for mathematics. Firstly, I'm going to talk about the briefly overview what I'm going to present during my presentation. Firstly, will be what is STEM, then STEM in early childhood, purpose of STEM education, teaching and learning strategies, inquiry-based learning, examples or activities based on the STEM learning, and then STEM content knowledge. At the end, there will be some references. So firstly, we can talk about what is STEM. It is one of the teaching and learning educational approach to which removes traditional barriers separating four disciplines of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics and integrates them into real world and relevant learning experiences for learners, which can be begin in early childhood. So it will be really good idea if we start the STEM education in early childhood. So what can be the STEM goals? It really helps us to create ongoing opportunities for hands-on science or engineering learning. It shares the authority with the children's, and then it makes learning really interactive and personal. And at the end, it helps us to promote informed citizenship to make really socially responsible for environment and for people as well. And the next slide is about how we can use STEM or how we can see STEM in early childhood education. Firstly, if we see science, it's really one of the method of learning about the universe and how it functions through empirical investigation, observation, and experimentation. And next is the technology. Technology refers to the various instruments which can be developed to serve human needs, such as measuring devices, microscopes, and electronic devices like computers and tablets. And next is the engineering. It is one of the study and practice of making things that other people can use and can get benefit from it to satisfy their needs and solve their problems. And the very common one is mathematics, which is all about numeracy. And moreover, it's all about the study of things like numbers, shapes, angles, and distances, in addition to the constant concept of change. If any of the change occurs, so we can relate that thing to mathematics so that we can easily make comparisons and everything. Moreover, there is the what can be the purpose of STEM education. As per the Department of Education in Western Australia, it really helps us to develop skills which can be problem solving skills firstly and creative thinking because the STEM concepts gives us this scenario so we can really think about it, so we can make our own imaginations what can be the results for any of the scenarios or any of the problems. So it really helps us or for children to become creative in their thinking or make them more imaginative. And at the end, it gives the critical evaluation, really helps to develop the evaluation and cooperation, because all of the science concepts, or we can say STEM concepts, really need raise a lot of questions that why it happens, how is this happens. So which really gives us a lot of questions to answer and ask. So, and we can do all these things in a social groups, so the children can learn about the teamwork and the cooperations during the STEM concepts or during the learning of STEM education. That thus it also helps to develop the oral language skills, and then the digital or media content, as it's 21st century, it's a technical era, so it really helps to know about the digital or media content, so the children can learn a lot about the through the STEM concepts. And next, what can be the teaching and learning strategies of STEM? That means how we can teach STEM to children in a very effective manner, and moreover, how we can learn about the STEM to teach to children. So firstly, as already we know, there was a traditional method in which there was a reading of books, and then after that memorizing them, then keep practicing them, and then reciting them. at the end there was the grading system. But now everything is changed because the STEM method is totally about the observations. So firstly we need to observe any of activity we can say, or any of scenario we need to work on, and then there will be a questions, how it happens, why that happens, how we can change that thing. So there will be a lot of evaluations things, and then we can do experiment for that. So after that we can analyze it about the real thing behind that scenario, and then we can make a conclusion. So it's very important to follow this STEM method basically. And then there can be a more such as the STEM learning must be inquiry-based learning approach, and all the identifying examples or activities need to be developmentally appropriate to STEM concepts in real world. And then collaboration with communities and involvement of parents and families will really be a good idea, because mostly parents don't know about the STEM and things. Then if we tell them, they can engage their children during the regular routines, basically when they go for shopping, for their grocery shopping or for any kind of thing, and then when they go to park, or even during their uh, at home during eating, or anything they're doing it, they can add their things to the STEM concepts, which really helps children to develop their cognitive skills really well and help them for their school transitions or school readiness, really helps them. And then intentional teaching, by linking the STEM education to the 21st century learning, the all the STEM education need to be intentionally effective. And then at the end we can say there must need to be a good research on early learning of mathematics, all areas of science, which can be physical science, chemical science, or biological science, and all concepts of the engineering, all kind of designs and everything, how we can add it more. And then next is about the inquiry-based learning. What is inquiry-based learning? It is one of the constructivist approach where children plays the role of knowledge, and it helps the children to develop the skills that they actually needed in the real world. And it works around the 5 E's model, which helps children to think critically or creatively. So what can be the 5 E's model? Firstly, in the 5 E's model, there will be a engage, which means that there must need to be involvement or engagement of children when we are setting any of the activities, or any of when we are teaching them the about the STEM concept. So we need to we need to follow their ideas. So we need to set up everything, or we need to relate their ideas with the STEM, so they kind of involvement and then explore. So any of the scenario we are setting up, there need to be a exploration with the children, and then we can explain it. And next fourth can be them, then we can elaborate it more, how it can relate it to the to our real life or to our real world. And then at the end we can reach up to the conclusion through evaluation. Moreover, it also helps to promote social interactions, imaginations, exploration, reasoning skills, and most importantly, positive attitude to failure. And then the next slide is about the examples related to STEM for or activities for toddlers and preschoolers. As all we know, the STEM is really wide topic. It can be really a lot. We can learn about it. But basically, I just take the common 4 of the examples. So firstly, I took as a car ramp, in which children learn about the angles and how the height or inclined angle can change the speed of the car. And then the magic milk experiment, which I will discuss in detail in further slides. And then I choose the third one is Skittle science experiment and egg floating science experiment. Skittle science experiment is just basic fun learning science experiment of relating to diffusion, in which children can learn about like how the high concentration molecules comes to the lower concentration to make a very beautiful pattern of rainbow, and how the water, 2 different water temperature helps us, like we can set up one plate with the cold water and another plate we can set up with the hot water. So which temperature really which temperature makes faster to dissolve the sugar skettles to dissolve with the water, which makes more faster. And then the next is the floating egg one, which is hands-on science activity, learning about the density, like do the egg float or sink. But we can make it this one. We can relate with the density concept. So we can put one normal water, so we can take another one as a salty water. And if we put the egg in a normal water, so for sure that gonna be a sink because the egg density is more. And then the next one, we can use the salty water in which the water density gonna go high instead of the egg density. So in that case, egg gonna float over it. So we can share this experiment with the children. That really will be a good idea. And then for the further explanation, first activity is the magic milk, which can be set up for toddlers. It will be a really fun science experiment. So we just basically need a one container, one open container with some milk, liquid food coloring, dish soap, and cotton swab. So we can pour some milk in a container, and then we can encourage children for their involvement to put some dots of food color on top layer of the milk, and then we can further engage them, ask them by using cotton swab, or we can ask them to put some dish soap first on top layer of the milk and then use cotton swabs for 10 seconds, I can say, and then to just put on the to put pressure on the food color dots on top layer of the milk. And then after that, we can start seeing that there'll be a lot of ifs and ifs. There will be a lot of changes because it's the chemical reaction gonna happen with the fat molecules of milk and the soap molecules. So which really help, which really will be a fun experiment. So in the next slide, we can tell it what can be the results or STEM learning journey through this experiment. We can tell them, we can tell to the children that it's just one of the basic sensory science experiment. There is a chemical reactions happens between the molecules of milk and the soap molecules. As we can see, the chemical process is invisible, but the food coloring can help us to see the movement as the colors, different colors gonna start moving around it, as we can see in the picture as well, and make a very beautiful pattern of kind of rainbow. So they can know it, like how the reaction happens or how the molecules react with each other to change the things. And the inquiry based questions we can add up to this activity or example. So we can ask children, what did you notice, what happened when you put the cotton swab in the milk, and why do you think it stopped moving around after a period, which really helps to give them to be creative and learn about how we can solve a problem and do the evaluations at the end. And the next activity, which can be work for preschoolers, is car ramp. It's really one of the also basic science STEM experiment, we can say, in which children learn about how to design, build, and explore ramps of different heights. So they can make observations how the height of ramp changes the speed of car. So for this activity, we just need common things: one open space, ramp piece, thick block with steps to different heights, as we can see in the picture. And then we can put a mat down there with the scales on it, so that we can add mathematics to this and they can check it, like how many scales passed from one height, second height, or third height when we put the force on car, and then any of the car try for this. And moreover, we can add stopwatch thing in this one to detect the speed, or we can extend it, this activity through ball as well, like they can judge the ball speed instead of the car. And then what can be the results or STEM learning journey through this activity? It provides a hands-on experience on force, motion, and gravity things. And also design really plays an important role in this activity, because as we change angle, or we can say the height of the ramp, it changes the speed of the car. The first height, for example, can cross only up to 2 scales, and then second height can cross up to 5 scales, and then the third height, because inclined angle will be more sharp. It can reach up to 5 or 6 scales, so the children can easily, so we can ask them some inquiry questions so they can involve or engage more in this activity, such as how we can change the speed of the car as it moves down the ramp, who is helping the car to go down, what would happen if we make the ramp was totally flat. So they will learn about comparisons through this, and they will learn about how we can solve the STEM concepts, or uh, how the STEM learning goes. All these things can be taught through these activities. And then next can be what can be the STEM content knowledge. So behind these activities, we can tell the science. Children can learn about force, gravity, motion, chemical reaction between soap and milk fat molecules, and technology. We can add technology in these ones, so the children can learn virtually about science and engineering through videos and posters, or we can add either stopwatch, thermometers, things for this one. And then engineering is all about asking, imaginations, planning, creating and improving things. So designs and setup of activities can relate to engineering. And then further mathematics, comparisons with speed and time, connections, patterns of rainbow, different height measurements can be taken as a mathematics concept. And nextly, so all this about the references for my presentations.